Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're coming from. Appreciate you coming back to Dan's Trades to check out some videos. As always, this is just me documenting some of my activities. Never any financial advice, not a financial advisor, not licensed, not selling anything, not providing any type of services. Just purely entertainment and or educational purposes. If it helps you, that is a bonus. All right, that out of the way. I'm just going to show and preface this as do not do as I do. I'll just leave it at that. Obviously, I'm not here teaching you, and you're not here following me. I'm not live, but I missed the opening range gap trade this morning. It's a beautiful, fast trade. There's the open at 9:30. This shaded area is the 1 minute first presentation of the opening range, and the opening range gap is right here. So 9:31, we hit halfway. 9:32, we filled it in, or excuse me, 9:31 and a half. 15-second chart. I thought we were in a 1 minute chart for a second. Let me drop that back down for a second. So there's the first. So 9:30, 9:31, 9:32, first presentation. Larger fair value gap from 216 down to 187, roughly. And the opening range gap is the black one here. So we see that filled immediately. I know a buddy of mine got that trade. Nice job, man. Love it. But I was watching. And obviously, I knew I wasn't going to chase that one. So I thought I'd look for a retracement trade after making a high. Impatience got the better of me. Impulse got in my way. I took one scalp and got out right away. I said, you're not supposed to be in at this time. I knew I was early, so I closed it out. Saw the spike up above, taking out this August 2024 liquidity level one more time. Swept back down. Creating a fair value gap as well as this inversion fair value gap. I was looking at that. And I took another trade right here, shorted this one. And again, saw that was not the right time, but it was closer. I was thinking anywhere, sometimes it can be a few minutes early of the macro. But no, and I placed my stop. I'm going to zoom in way in on this one. This is interesting. I placed my stop above CE of this wick. And somehow I missed, didn't see, whatever at the time. Wasn't paying attention to this level anymore as we had just touched it right here and broke through it here. I didn't anticipate it going higher, so I had my stop just above CE, and it was literally, or this one right here. You can see 261.50 is where I got stopped out. Excuse me, I was at CE of this wick. I'll rephrase that. I apologize for that. You can see that one's right here. Since we had spiked it up at 9:45, I wasn't anticipating it going back above there, so I placed my stop at the CE. And that is exactly why I got stopped out right there. So stop was right there. And then, of course, as it always does, I was liquidity, so price ripped back down, and I impulsively got back in, thinking it was going to continue immediately. Well, it did not do it immediately, but it didn't go back above my stop, which was now above this swing high. And I took a partial off right here, 22.30, as we were breaking this swing. And then as price was looking to go below this one, 22.29, I cut the last one out there as I was looking for midnight open price to be to cover. So, like I said, I was impatient. Took a look at the bigger picture again. Got in one more time at 227 off of these volume imbalances. Broke back below. Entered one more time. Then closed it out right here as we were down below midnight open price. So that was my horrific, impulsive, impatient morning trading. Not what I would recommend. least I'm on the right side of some of these. You know, I'm not getting in early before the major ramps. Although this was my one major error that I made here, but it's an opportunity to keep that in mind. So that's just a great lesson learned right there. Another lesson learned is just be careful. At least my impulsivity is working as I'm still profitable. That's probably a bad thing. But I am getting enough seat time where I feel I'm seeing price pretty well. I dropped one more in there, placing the stop above there, shorted it. You see the executions right here at the volume imbalance. Had this one in mind. And closed it out, as I mentioned below. So what did we do the rest of the day? Didn't trade anymore at that point during the AM session. Didn't take note of this until after the fact. This would have been a nice trade right there, as I think ICT talked about on his live today. But this, I went back and looked. Last week's Tuesday's first presentation interestingly lines up. And I was also dragging over Wednesdays. Whether this is exact or not, I'm literally just showing you some things I'm noticing in charts. Right around the open, the wicks went below it, bodies never did after right here, leading into the close. Whether that's valid or not, I have no idea. I found it interesting. But this one definitely I can say is, because you can't mess that up. Closed right at consequent encroachment, opened right at it, excuse me, one or two ticks above it, and it just ripped back up. That's interesting, I find. Then I decided, before the AM session closed, I was literally watching price, and I saw this, and I was keying off of the opening range gap one more time. I scalped one more short as we closed below. Call it trader intuition, call it luck, call it whatever. I entered a short position right here, leading into the next macro, closed it immediately later. Not immediately, 1, 2, 3 candles later, okay, a minute or so later. For 10 plus points. Do I recommend it? No. Did it work? Yes. That was the final trade of the PM. And lunch we stayed away from, didn't trade anything at lunch. PM session started. I'm going to start taking a note of this. Maybe this will help anybody out there. Whether this is exactly valid, I can't say 100%, but I went to the 1 minute chart once again in the PM session. Yeah, I do have multi-charts, but I'm just doing this easier for the recording to see it on one screen. The first 1 minute fair value gap that was presented in the 1:30 to 2 o'clock opening range for the New York PM session. I have heard somebody say, treat 1:30 to 2 o'clock like you treat 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Whether this is valid or not for me to say, but I find it interesting that happened right there. No, I didn't take a long on it. I'm looking at this after the fact as I'm doing my back testing. Always looking at historical prices. I find that interesting. And then when we finally close below it, it acted like an inversion fair value gap. Yeah, we had a little mohawk above. Price definitely ran below it. Again, not whether it's valid or not, I don't know. But then we took the big rip down. Yeah. Where did that rip down to? Imagine that. Monday's first presentation from last week. Okay. Not the exact precision of the consequent encroachment of the other one, but there's all kinds of layered PD arrays down here. You see N dogs. Huge clustering of PD arrays. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever that it lines up with that first fair value gap. Whether that's luck or not for me to say. I decided to take a few more scalps against my better recommendations. Potentially looking for price to come back up here. Oh, the thing I should say is, was it Powell talking today? Fed chairman was talking. Here's that news candle, 155. Price immediately went below that 1 minute candle. Failed to get above it. Remember that. Price dropped all the way back down, hit these plethora of PD arrays, reversed back up. I was tape rating this, and impulsively I said, it's going to keep going. It's past the 50%. Maybe we'll get a run all the way up into this macro coming up. But I said, no, Dan, you're still early again, and I just got out. Actually, I made a mistake here. Literally a mistake. And wanted to buy and I sold, and I went to place my stop and it dropped my cover and it immediately covered. So that was literally a human error, and I mistakenly didn't take that as reading the tea leaves. And I wanted to get back in a little bit later just because, again, impulsive impatience today. Scalped a few more based off of 15-minute fair value gaps. I won't drop back down just to show you, but there is one. Yes, I will, because I have to see it for myself. So this was where the volume imbalance I was keying off of and came back down into filling. Again, this is also looking for potential IO Fed. Didn't hit it quite right. Got a second order fill right here on that one. Expecting higher prices again. I was looking for this end dog. Price began to move, and for some reason, call it my trader's intuition, I don't care. Looking at the time, whatever it was, I cut the trade off. And price dropped back down, rallied back up, chopped around, obviously consolidating. And then we come into the market on close macro. So this was actually me looking at, I was at the end of the macro. Then I was looking here from 315 to see what 315 to 345 would do. Then the market on close took another rip. We see here at 350, price started spooling. I wasn't in yet. I saw it clear this first presentation fair value gap, close above, retrace into a fair value gap, IO Fed, right at consequent encroachment. I'll draw it in so you can see it. Never mind that airplane that's out there going to land. So when I see these things, I have confidence in the upside, but I stupidly, using my intuition one last time, something told me it was coming up to this level. Call it a hunch, call it whatever. We had a retracement back down into this fair value gap, and I took a long, which got filled way up here because I took a market order and I was just watching price. Not, again, don't recommend it. Should have been in at 265. Didn't have my limit on. Used a market order, got in poorly. Scalped a few points, and we're done there. Again, not a recommendation for how to trade, but just me reviewing mine. It is NFP Monday. And we'll log that one and leave it for now. Not an easy day. It's Monday. I dislike Mondays anyways. The only reason I traded it impulsively and or famously impatiently. Not famously. I got the job done, but I'm not happy with it. So we'll journal that. Way too much trading, but again, for my own self at least, it's profitable mistakes. So there is that. I don't like it, but it's profitable. So take it or leave it. That's my trades for NFP Monday, and I hope you're well. Remember, tomorrow is promised for none of us. Live for today. Take care.